Hey there nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and welcome to Season 2 of It Came From the Sump, our series dedicated to the Necromunda Community Event, co-hosted by Dr. Drybrush and myself. It Came From the Sump is a vehicle-based narrative Necromunda campaign set in the Sump Sea of Necromunda. And on today's video is Battle Report number 18. It is a fight between my buddies Warlord Ace as well as Big Puka. Big Puka is playing the Deep Ones of House Delaque, while my other friend Warlord Ace is playing the Velvet Privateers of House Van Saar. They'll be throwing it down in a boarding action scenario on the Sump Sea. Now, because this video is a little bit more of a deeper dive, I will put timestamps in the description box down below so that we click and navigate to part of the video that interests you the most. So that being said, we're going to play some background music real quick. As the music is playing, we'll show you rosters and photos of both gangs, and then we'll see you guys back when we talk about the scenario rules.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
So during this campaign week, we have the sub event shutdown sanction, which means that all rarity values for the trading posts have gone up by 2, and also all game equipment now costs 33% extra, rounding to the nearest 5 credits. So a lot of members are not going to be buying materials this time around. Now the scenario for this one is called boarding action. Both sides get a custom selection of 7 fighters for their crews, so 1 vehicle as well as 6 fighters. Standard deployment rules are in effect, and for the boarding action, you get 1 victory point for each enemy fighter you take out of action, 2 victory points for champions, 3 for leaders, and 3 for vehicles. Obviously, the one who has the most victory points at the end of the scenario is the winner. Now for the awards on this one, the winner earns 2d6 times 10 credits, while the loser earns 2d3 times 10 credits, and at the same time you also get 2d3 times 10 credits for each wrecked vehicle that you manage to put out. For experience, you earn 1 point experience for participating in the battle report, another bonus experience point for wrecking enemy vehicles, in addition to any other experience point rules from the core rulebook. And then finally, for the winner, you earn D3 points reputation, and if anybody bottles out, they lose 1 point reputation. So with these scenario rules over with, let's talk about deployment. As you can see, we're playing on a 4x4 table. My buddy Warlord Ace as well as his Velvet Privateers are located on the far side of the table, while on the near side of the table, of course, we have my buddy Big Puka as well as his gang, the Deep Ones of House Delaque. The Deep Ones will be represented by the yellow figures on the left-hand side of the map, and the Velvet Privateers will be represented by the cyan-colored figures on the map as well. And the minimap will show arrows for directions of movement, as well as such when fighters have been activated, also been taken out of action as well. So with that overhead of the minimap done, let's talk about individual deployments on the tabletop. So starting on the near side of the table, we have two Piscean Spectres in this battle report. The left-hand one is Shish Chevrolet, which is the one that's been tearing face in our entire community event battle campaign series so far. And the right-hand side is the brand new Piscean Spectre that's been recruited to the gang. That's the Crawling Chaos as well. Both of them are really blenders in close combat. Continuing on with the deployment for the Deep Ones, we have the Shadow Runner, which is a Wraith operating a medium custom vehicle with a heavy flamer, and on board that vehicle, of course, we have 3 members of the Deep Ones riding that vehicle. And we have Sharagan with 10 Eyes, which is the Master of Shadow, which is the leader of this gang. This character has a long rifle with infrasight. He's also got a gun shroud as well. He's also got Chronomancy with Flicker as well as Zen Shootist. Also on board is Darkhand Mendoth, which is the Phantom, who's armed with a grav gun. And also we have a brand new fighter for this gang. His name is Ghost. He is a ghost. His name is Cold-Hearted Scythrex. He is a ghost in this gang. He's also packing a web gun as well. So this will be the very first scenario that that fighter will be participating in. And deployed ahead of the rest of the gang on that little island where the Red Rocket bar is located is Drala the Rust Devil Deville. She is a Not Ghoul who's been promoted up. Originally she was a side guy who actually got promoted up to a Not Ghoul, so she used her from the Shadows build in order to deploy onto the tabletop. A very deadly fighter. It's got a Psychomancer's Harness, also got Pyromancy with Fire Shield, Molten Bolt, as well as the Scouring. So very dangerous individual. So moving on to the other side of the table, the northern edge, we have the rest of the Velvet Privateers played by my buddy Warlord Ace. His entire gang is pretty much located on the same area. So starting off with the vehicle, course, that is Lady Elena's Revenge. It's a custom rig that's got a mining laser on it. On board that vehicle too are a couple of the fighters. In the back is Ralderon the Prime, who's the leader of this gang, armed with a combat pistol, with a last pistol, as well as a multi-gun. Also has an infrasight on that weapon as well. Also on board that vehicle is Titus the Archaeotech. He's got mesh armor as well as a rad beamer with alpha ocular cybertechnica. Also on that vehicle as well is the Augmech Balderon, who's got a plasma gun as well as a last pistol with a munitioneer and fixer skill. And right there representing the Oris fighter, we don't actually have an Arachna rig yet in the studio, so to proxy that Arachna rig, we're actually using a Oris Spire Hunter in order to represent that miniature. We figured it's pretty similar. They're big, they're bulky, they're pretty large. That character's name is Helagon. He's an Arachna rig. He's got heavy carapace armor, twin linked heavy last carbine, plasma gun, rad gun, as well as 2 servo arms as well. So that thing is kitted out to kill. Also located on the left-hand side of the Lady Elena's Revenge is one of the Neotechs named Delacroix. That character is cracking a last pistol, high short energy shield, photon flash grenade, also running a cutter. And then, of course, deployed on the right-hand side of Lady Elena's Revenge is Silas. That's another Neotech. This guy is also packing a mesh armor, hand flamer, last pistol. He's also got incendiary charges as well. So that's pretty much the location for for my buddy Warlord Ace's entire gang. So now that we're done talking about deployment for all the gangs, let's go ahead directly go to top number 1. Right, friends, roll for priority, see which of them will be going first. Alright, so we go directly to the top of turn number 1, and the Vansar will be going first, so my buddy Warlord Ace will also be activating his very first fighter. Also in effect on this battle report too, the Delaque decided to operate their generatorium, and they managed to shut off the light, putting pitch black conditions on this battlefield, so pitch black conditions are in effect. We rolled off on the D6 for the pitch black conditions on the tabletop, and it ended up being that there's a 12-inch visibility rule for the entirety of the table. And you'll see this little effect written on the top of the map here on the next slide, so that way you can see that it's written in orange, so that way you know that there's visibility effects. So for his very first activation, Warlord Ace decides to activate Delacroix, who's actually going to do a simple move to go directly towards Drala Deville. And the reason why is because he does have a Promethean stash is one of his territories, so this fighter is actually carrying incendiary charges as well. And he plans on actually utilizing this in order to gain an advantage right off the bat at the very beginning of the battle report. So Delaque reuses the 8-inch middle ounce of his grad cutter to basically rocket to the top of that shanty for the Red Rocket Bar and Grill and aims right down the barrel directly towards Drala the Rust Devil Deville. Plans on lobbing one of his incendiary charges directly at the Na'gul, so that way, if he doesn't kill or wound the fighter, at least he'll be able to put blaze on them. So here's a close-up of the mini-map. As you can see, fighter number 5 from the Velvet Privateers, Delaque, has been highlighted magenta to represent the fact that they have been activated. The blue arrow shows that the fighter has moved directly to the top of the shanty, and the red arrow is showing them lobbing their incendiary grenade directly towards Drala the Rust Devil Deville. So the grenade, of course, is a incendiary grenade being lobbed directly at Drala the Rust Devil Deville. It is given to him because of the Promethean cache that he actually has access to. He is striking a strength 3 with 1 damage with a 5-inch blast radius, also blaze on top of that as well. Now Delaque does have a ballistic skill of 4+, so because he's using the short range modifier, he doesn't get any kind of bonuses to hit, so he just needs to roll 4+ on the d6 in order to land a blow directly against Drala. The hit is good directly against the Na'gul, so because of that, the explosive goes off with a flame of jet fire. So because of the incendiary charge does have a strength of 3 versus Drala's toughness of 3 as well, so because of that, Delaque needs to roll a 4+ in order to wound. Not only does he manage to slip a wound directly onto the Na'gul, but at the same time also pass the blaze test as well. So now because of that, even if Drala doesn't get killed, they do have to suffer from the blaze test as well. Now Drala the Rust Devil Deville, of course, has mesh armor as well as an armored undersuit, giving her a 4+ in order to save against the blaze, but unfortunately for those, she fails her armor save. Luckily for Drala the Rust Devil Deville, it ends up being a flesh wound on the injury die, so because that, she does lose 1 point to her toughness, but she is still toughness 3, also very deadly still, can still fight, can still move, can still cause problems if she wants to later on, so she is very much a serious threat that you have to contend with as well. Now, of course, we have the little blaze icon next to her because not only is she pinned, but she's also on fire as well. So going back to the mini-map, as you can see, Drala the Rust Devil Deville's little icon has been highlighted in orange, and it also has a red border around it. The red border signifies the fact that she is covering a flesh wound, and at the same time she's also been blazed as well. So because of that, for the next time that my buddy Big Puka wishes to activate Drala the Rust Devil Deville, she'll have to pass a blaze test first. And speaking of my friend Big Puka, he decides to activate Shish Shirolai. His Piscean Spectre decides to do double movement forward, heading directly towards the Saar. Luckily, the Piscean Spectre does have flight as a special rule, so it never has to worry about touching the ground or taking a strength test in order to go across the Sump Sea. Quite useful in this environment. As you see, he starts rocking directly towards the foxhole, which is about this halfway point on the tabletop, so that way he can close grips and start using his abilities and his fighting prowess against the Saar. Here's a close-up of the mini-map. As you can see, fighter number 5 from the Deep Ones has been highlighted in green with that yellow arrow signifying their movement, showing how far that the Piscean Spectre is just zipping across the battlefield, trying to come to grips with the Saar. So going back to the other side of the table, Balderon the Augment gets activated. It is a group activation with Helicon, which is the Arachnorig. Now Balderon, of course, is going to be activating first in this group activation. Warlord 8 decides to do a double movement with Balderon, taking a simple movement action to go directly to the base of the Red Rocket Bar and Grill, and another basic action to go directly on the top of the building as well. Give him a good elevated position so that way he can snipe at targets at a distance with his plasma gun, which actually has a 24-inch range on it. Now, his lethality with the shooting attack, of course, will be hampered by the fact that there is a 12-inch visibility range on the battlefield, so he does have to worry about that a little bit. But still, even if they go within 12 inches, they're well within the short range characteristics of the plasma gun. Now this is part of a group activation, so Helicon goes next, the Arachnorig. He decides to declare a charge directly against Drala the Rust Devil Deville. He takes a D3, rolls his charge distance, rolls a 5 on that one, so the charge is good. Moves up 8 inches along the base of the Red Rocket Bar and Grill, and gets within the versatile range of using his servo arms directly against Drala the Rust Devil Deville. Going back to the mini-map, as you can see, both the Balderon, which is fighter number 3 for the Velvet Privateers, has been highlighted in red, and he is posted up directly on the roof of the shanty. Meanwhile, fighter number 6 from the Velvet Privateers, Helicon, has also been highlighted in magenta, and that red arrow signifies he declared a charge, and he's within the versatile striking distance of his servo arms against the Na'gul. So with the 2 attacks that he has as base, combined with the charge as well as the additional attack he gets from his close combat attack with his servo arms, Helicon actually gets 4 attacks directly against the Nakgul. Now the servo arms to the Ragnarok gives him a 3-inch versatile range, which is well within distance of. He also gets +1 to hit if he's striking at that versatile range, which he is doing. And he's also striking at strength 5 with 1 damage as well. So with 4 attacks, striking at weapon skill 4, giving that +1 to hit, basically these are 3 or higher in order to land any blows directly against the Nakgul. Helicon managed to strike against the Nakgul twice, and with a strength of 5 versus a toughness of 2, which has been reduced because of the flesh wound that Drala has suffered earlier, basically needs a 2+ in order to wound. Helicon does manage to land a wound directly against Drala the Nakgul, and because that does put 1 wound directly onto the Nakgul as well. Now once again, Drala also gets an armor save with mesh armor as well as the armor undersuit, gives her 4+ to save. No modifiers or armor penetration whatsoever on those servo arms, which is actually quite interesting. But anyways, Drala does manage to fail her armor save. Unfortunately, when my buddy Big Puka rolled his armor save, he rolled a 1, so because of that, puts a wound directly onto Drala. And because it's part of a charge, basically put a coup de grace directly onto the Nakgul, puts that fighter out of action with a 42, which is partially deafened. So because of that, Drala the Rust Devil Deville will go into recovery, so she'll miss out on her next game. At the same time, also loses 1 to her leadership characteristic as well. So going back to the mini-map, as you can see, the Rust Devil Deville has been blackened out for their icon on the deep ones, and also the name has been highlighted red to represent the fact that they are no longer participating in this battle report. So going back to the center edge of the table, Big Puka activates next. He decides to activate the Crawling Chaos, which is his second Piscean Spectre. He moves up forward using 2 movement actions to go directly towards the middle of the shipping containers as well as the shanty where the dock is located at, making his way directly toward the bridge. That way he can come to grips with the Saar and engage him in close combat. Going back to the mini-map, as you can see, fighter number 6, which is the Crawling Chaos for the deep ones, has been highlighted in green in terms of the fact that this fighter has been activated. You can also see the yellow arrow showing the direction of movement as they make their way directly towards the Saar. For Warlord Ace, his very next activation is to activate Silas, which is his Neotech. This character is also packing incendiary charges due to the Promethean cache that they have. Decides to activate that fighter to actually start engaging the deep ones. Silas does a simple movement action, flying forward 8 inches directly across the Sump Sea directly towards those cargo containers for his very first activation. And for his very second action, he's going to do a basic action to lob one of those incendiary charges directly towards the Crawling Chaos. As you can see on the mini-map, fighter number 4 from the Velvet Privateers has been highlighted in magenta, represents the fact that he has been activated. That blue arrow kind of shows his line of approach as he goes rocketing across the battlefield, and of course within the 9-inch range of lobbing one of those incendiary charges directly towards the Crawling Chaos, which is the second of the Piscean Spectres fighting for the deep ones. So, Silas actually decides to lob one of his incendiary charges from the Promethean cache for their territory. He's striking at strength 3 with 1 damage, as well as a 5-inch blast template with blaze as well. The Neotech does have a ballistic skill of 4+, so because that's Silas, he's rolled 4 up in order to actually hit the target using the blast template. So as you can see in this photo, that massive 5-inch blast plate just explodes directly on the Crawling Chaos, covering him in flaming gasoline. The incendiary charge is striking at strength 3. Now the Piscean Spectre does have a toughness of 4, which gives a little bit more of an advantage to survive. So because of that, Silas needs to roll a 5+ in order to wound against the Piscean Spectre. Not only does he manage to wound against the Piscean Spectre, also manages to put blaze on him as well, which is actually quite unfortunate. Now at the same time, the Piscean Spectre, the Crawling Chaos, does have an armor save of 4+ because of his light carapace, but unfortunately my buddy Big Puka rolled a 2 on that one, so he fails the armor save, takes a wound, and at the same time he also suffers blaze. And here's a close-up of the Crawling Chaos. He's currently pinned with 1 wound on him. At the same time, he also has blaze on him as well. He does manage to pass his initiative test so he doesn't fall off the edge directly into the Sump Sea. So here's another shot of the minimap. As you can see, fighter number 6 from the Delaque deep ones has been highlighted orange, representing the fact that he's currently on fire. He's also got 2 of his 3 wounds remaining left on his profile. So going back to my buddy Big Puka, he decides to activate the Shadowrunner, which is his Wraith who's piloting his custom medium vehicle. And he decides to do a double move forward with the Shadowrunner, directly parking that boat right next to the loading dock, so that way his fighters can also offload the vehicle, get on board the central island of the battlefield, and maybe putting down some long-range shots with their weapons. Unlike the Saar, who have to rely within that 12-inch visibility radius, the Deep ones don't have to worry about that. The entire gang is equipped with photo goggles. A lot of them have infrared sights on their weapons, so they can pretty much own the night on this battlefield with its pitch black conditions. So here's another look at the mini-map. As you can see, box number 1 representing the Shadow Runner has been highlighted in green to represent has been activated. Goes for that massive 14-inch movement directly towards the central island, so that way they can park their fighters next to it and start putting down some support for the crawling chaos. So now to be outdone, Warlord Ace decides to activate Lady Lena's Revenge, which is his custom rig, decides to actually have the vehicle move forward as a simple action. Lady Lena's Revenge moves forward 8 inches and also does a move and shoot action as well, moving forward another additional 4 inches and also firing its mining laser directly towards the crawling chaos, which is the fighter who's located on the central island right across from, which of course is the Piscean Spectre. Here's another look at the mini-map. As you can see, box number 1, which is the Lady Lena's Revenge, has been highlighted in magenta because of the fact that it has been activated. It does a move and then a move and shoot action to go directly towards the center of the battlefield, and of course open fires the mining laser directly to the crawling chaos. So the mining laser is striking at strength 9 with -3 AP as well as 3 damage. They are within the short range modifier of the mining laser, so they don't suffer -1 to hit penalty for long range. Lady Lena's Revenge does have a ballistic skill of 3+, so because of that, the Technica who's actually operating the vehicle needs to roll a 3+ on a D6 in order to land that hit. The hit lands with no problem whatsoever, and of course because they're striking at a strength 9 versus the crawling chaos's toughness of 4, the mining laser needs to roll a 2+ order wound against the Piscean Spectre. Needless to say, has no problem making that wound roll. All you gotta do is just not roll a 1. At the same time, the Piscean Spectre, the crawling chaos, does not actually get an armor save because it does have a 4 armor save, but there's a -3 armor penetration modifier from the mining laser. So because of that, the Piscean Spectre gets no armor save whatsoever. And to make matters worse, it also takes 3 damage, which puts it directly past its wound allowance. So Warlord Ace rolls the injury dice, rolls a out of action result, and when they roll to see exactly what kind of lasting injury he sustains, he actually suffers a 63, which is a critical injury. So just like that, this Piscean Spectre, which is brand new to the Deep Ones, might actually be eliminated from the roster if they don't do a successful medical escort mission. But luckily for my buddy Big Puka, he does have Voss Dagon, which is actually one of his rogue docs in his gang, so he might be able to save this Piscean Spectre no problem. Here's another look at the little mini-map. As you can see, fighter number 6 from the Deep Ones from the Palace Delaque, which is the crawling chaos, has been blackened out to represent the fact that he's gone out of action. And same thing with his name being highlighted in red as well, because he'll no longer participate in this battle report. So going back to Big Puka, he decides to do a group activation with Shower Guide of the 10 Eyes. He's also going to do a group activation with Darkhand Mendoth, his Phantom's armed with a grav gun, as well as Cold-Hearted Scythrix as well, which is a specialist who's carrying a web gun. So Sharingan the 10 Eyes activates first, does a basic action aim with his long rifle. It's also equipped with the infrared sight and gun shroud, and does a basic action open fire. He gets a +2 to hit because he is both striking at the long range modifier of that long rifle, which gives you a +1 to hit on long ranges. At the same time, that basic action also to aim also gives him another +1 to hit as well. Striking at strength 4 -1 AP, 1 damage as well as knockback. And with the ballistic skill of 3+, he just needs to roll a 2 up in order to hit. Unfortunately for my buddy Big Puka, he rolls a 1. Unfortunately, he's been rolling really low in this game, and so because that his shot completely misses, so Silas, the Neotech on the board who's directly in front of him, is completely unscathed. So here's another look at the little mini-map. As you can see, fighter number 1, Sharingan of the 10 Eyes, has been highlighted in green because he's been activated. He opens fire with his long rifle with that red line going directly towards Silas, but unfortunately his shot was not good. So continuing on with the group activation, Cold-Hearted Scythrix, which is the specialist who's armed with a web gun, is activated next. He does a simple action to move directly onto the concrete island, so that way he is within range to open fire with his web gun, but there's a basic action to open fire with it with a template attack directly towards Silas. And as you can see from this template attack, Silas is being sprayed with web goo directly onto his person as well. So here's a look at the mini-map. As you can see, fighter number 4 from the Deep One, Scythrix, has been highlighted in green. He does a simple action to move forward, as well as that red line to show him opening fire with his template weapon directly against Silas. So the web gun is a template attack, so because of that, Cold-Hearted Scythrix does not need to roll into his ballistic skill in order to hit his target. It's also striking at strength 5, it's completely silent, it's also got the web key to weapon trait as well. Now because all he has to do is roll up to wound, he's striking at strength 5, it gets a toughness of 4, so he basically needs to roll a 3 up in order to wound. manages to wound Silas as well, and because it is a webbed weapon, it does not receive any armor saves against it, so because of that, Silas is completely defenseless against it. So because of that, he does automatically get a serious injury because of the web trait on the web gun, and so because that, Silas does go directly into the Sump Sea, so he'll need to take a strength test to see if he actually avoids actually drowning in it. Unfortunately, he fails his strength test. And just like that, Silas automatically goes out of action when you drown it directly into the Sump Sea. Luckily though, his lasting injury was out cold, so because of that, Silas makes a full recovery, no problem whatsoever. But at the same time though, nets first blood for the deep ones, which is actually quite nice. Here's another look at the mini-map. As you can see, that fighter number 4 from the Velvet Privateers, Silas has been blackened out and his name highlighted in red because he is out of action and will not be participating in the rest of the battle report. So we then continue on with the very last bit of the group activation, which is Darkhand Mandalf, which is the Phantom. He does a simple action to climb up directly to the top of the shanty, so that way he has a good line of sight on the battlefield. And he also takes a basic action open fire with his grav gun directly towards Lady Alina's Revenge. The grav gun of course has -1 AP with 2 damage, a 3-inch blast template causing concussion and graviton pulse, but unfortunately Darkhand Mandalf actually misses his shot. It actually goes wide, splashes harmlessly directly into the Sump Sea, so not much really happens there. So here's a final look at that mini-map so that we can see the very last bit of the activation with Darkhand Mandalf, which is fighter number 2 from the Deep Ones, also being highlighted in green, representing the fact that he's now on top of the roof and he missed his shot with his grav gun. So continuing on with my buddy Warlord Ace, he decides to do group activation with his leader Walderon, which is his prime, as well as Taito, which is Archaeotech. Decides to activate both those fighter, and Walderon actually goes first. And the first thing Walderon does, of course, is move off of Lady Lee's Revenge directly onto the bridge in front of him. Mazin passes initiative test, no problem, in order to get across that. Rolled a 6, actually, which is actually quite nice. Looking back now, I don't think that gap was actually 2 inches or more, so we didn't have to actually roll for initiative, but, you know, that's how it is, you know, hindsight's 2020. Anyways, after crossing that bridge, of course, he takes a basic action, open fire with his Kava Melta with infrasight directly at the Piscean Spectre Shish Shaberlai. So here's another look at the little mini-map. As you can see, fighter number 1 from the Velvet Privateers, Walderon, has been highlighted in magenta to show that he's been activated. He does a simple movement directly across from Lady's Revenge onto the bridge and is opening fire with that melta gun directly into Shish Shaberlai, which is one of the Piscean Spectres. So, Walderon is targeting Shish Shaberlai with his Combo Melta with infrared sight. He's striking at strength 8 with -4 AP with 3 damage as well as Melta. I don't believe he's within the short range modifiers because he is striking at a Ballista skill 2+, which, let's face it, you don't really need a modifier with that high of a Ballista skill, so because that Walderon needs a 2+ in order to hit his target. Walderon has no problem managing to land that shot directly against the Piscean Spectre, and that Melta is actually striking at strength 8 versus Shish Shaberlai's toughness of 4. So unfortunately for the Piscean Spectre, the only thing that Walderon needs to roll is a 2 or up in order to actually wound against the Piscean Spectre. And of course he does manage to wound as well. Unfortunately, Shish Shaberlai does not get an armor save with that -4 AP, so he receives none, even though he's wearing light carapace armor, puts 3 damage directly onto the Piscean Spectre as well, which eats up his entire allowance of wounds. And once again, another out of action roll is rolled for the Piscean Spectre. This time is at 23, which is out cold, so it could have been much worse, putting a lasting injury directly into the Piscean Spectre, but he will be no longer participating in the battle report. So here's the last look directly onto the minimap. As you can see, fighter number 5, Shish Shaberlai from the Deep Ones, has been blackened out. His name should have been highlighted red. I do apologize for not doing that, but he's out of action and will not be participating in the battle report as well. And just like that, half of the members of the Deep Ones are no longer on the tabletop, with the full might of the gang pretty much from the Velvet Privateers still on the table. And unfortunately for my friend Babe Puka, he decides to voluntarily bottle out just because he doesn't want to lose any more fighters that he currently has, because we still have to have next week's games to worry about, so he basically bottles out voluntarily, earning a victory for House Van Saar and his Velvet Privateers. So that being said, we're going directly to the After Action report, because this battle report is now officially over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Alright, now it's time for the After Action report. This is the part of the battle report we talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle. This is the After Action report for battle report number 18 of our Necromunda Community Event. Once again, fought between my two friends Warlord Ace and Big Puka, with the Velvet Privateers of House Van Saar versus the Deep Ones of House Delaque. Unfortunately, the Deep Ones actually suffered a defeat on this one, so let's go out and talk about exactly what happened to their gang. So they suffered 3 injuries in this battle report. Drala, the Rust Devil Deville, actually got a lasting injury of partially deafened, so she loses 1 to her leadership characteristic, and because of that she also goes into recovery as well. She will not be able to participate in her next battle report. The Crawling Chaos also suffered a critical injury as well, so the gang decides to do a medical escort mission, which is actually quite fortunate because they do have Dr. Voss Dagon, which is a rogue doc that's in the gang's roster. Now when they rolled up for his recovery, they actually end up rolling Horrid Scars instead, so because that he goes directly to recovery. Unfortunately for them though, the Crawling Chaos already has the Fearsome skill, so because he's not going to be able to benefit from Horrid Scars, so because of that the Crawling Chaos will just miss out on his next battle report. Shish Live, the other Pisces Inspector in the gang, also got an out cold result, so because that makes a full recovery with no problems. As for advancements, no members of this gang advance at this time. From their territories, from their settlement territory, they actually earn 1 point reputation as well as 20 credits. They still control their generatorium, and from their gambling den, they also earn additional 2 points reputation as well. Now, my buddy Big Puka decided to use spades as the card to be drawn for the gambling den territory boon. Unfortunately, though, he drew a 6 of hearts because he doesn't get any credits whatsoever, so no harm, no foul there. From his Narco Den, he drums up another 5 credits, and from his Needleways, of course, he still maintains ownership of that territory, but his Archaeotech device, which he originally got in the last round of the game, actually lost to the Developer Privateer, so now he's only looking at 5 pieces of territory instead of the 6 that he started off with. He still maintains his alliance with House Tai as well. From the trading post, he got 25 credits from his territories as well as 20 credits from the scenario, giving him 45 credits in total. He decided to place all of his credits directly in the stash due to the lockdown protocols that are in effect for this campaign week. Now from his reputation, he got 3 points reputation from his territories, but he loses 1 for bottling out, which gives him a grand total of 30 points reputation in total. His new record now is at 4 wins and 3 losses, and his gang rank now is at 3,170 points. So moving on to the Developer Privateers of House Van Saar, they only actually suffered 1 injury in this battle report, which is Silas. He made an out cold result, so because they made a full recovery, so no harm, no foul. For advancements, Lady Elena's Revenge actually leveled up to level 2, earning +1 to his Blissa skill, and also increasing his credit value by 20 credits as well. So very deadly now, so that Van Saar now is firing at 2+ whenever he fires that mining laser of his. Now from his territories, from their settlement, they actually got +1 reputation as well as 30 credits from their settlement. They still maintain ownership of their Promethean cash, which gives them 3 incendiary charges per battle report. From his workshop, he still retains the services of his ammo jack, so he still has that in his gang, as well as Delaque. Also earns another 10 credits from that territory. And he also managed to capture an Archaeotech device from the Deep Ones, which also increased his reputation by 2 points. It also allows him to put different weapon traits onto his weapons as well, makes it even more lethal, but they also become a little bit more unstable as time goes on. He still maintains his alliance with House Catalyst, so no harm there. And from his trading post, he got 110 credits from the scenario, as well as 40 credits from his territories. And he decided to put down all 50 credits directly into his stash due to the lockdown protocol, so he plans on spending his credits in the next campaign week. Now from his reputation, he got 3 points for reputation from his territories as well as 3 from the scenario, giving a grand total of 21 points in total. His new record now is at 3 wins and 3 losses, and his new gang rank now is at 2,910 points. So there you guys have it. That's going to wrap up Battle Report number 18 of our Necromunda Community Event. As always, if you guys end up using any of the rules or any of the campaign materials that we use in this Battle Report series, please let either Dr. Drybrush or myself know. We'd love to hear exactly what you guys are doing with the materials that we've created as well. At the same time, if you guys end up making videos using our campaign materials, definitely send us a link. We'd love to check out that videos as well. So that's good this week, guys. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out and stay classy.